Hey there folks, it's Bobo the Vulture and this is an N64 game. Weird, I know. You may have figured out all of what's going on here by all of the bits and pieces that are, that are all flinging together at this point. But yes, this is an N64 game, so it's a test for me. I've not tried to record N64 games before. Called Indy Racing 2000. I have almost not played this game at all, but the coincidence of two things: one, wanting to test my ability to record N64 games, and two, this weekend, folks, this Sunday actually, the 100th anniversary of the first Indy 500. Well, it's not the actual anniversary to the date, I don't believe, but it's Memorial Day. This will be the 100th anniversary year. Not actually the 100th running, because they did not run the Indy 500 in... Ooh, check it out. Cool sights and sounds. Indy Racing flashing! Polygonal N64 style cars. Woo! Smoke! Tires! Guys! Whoa, abrupt angle changes, night racing. What, night? Wait a minute. Could have sworn I saw the Indy Pagoda there on the left during a night racing shot, which makes zero sense. Yeah, there's the scoring pylon. That makes zero sense. To the best of my knowledge, I'm almost positive they've never hosted a night race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They don't have lighting for it. Anyhow, though, folks, yeah, it's not the 100th running of the Indy 500 because they did not hold a race in, like, 1917 and 1918 for World War I, and then from 1942 to 1945, I want to say. Either way, time to press start. No, I just pressed start. Alright, there we go. Now then, we go to the options. We go to Gold Cup. We go to a championship. I don't think we're going to race the full IRL season, but that's right, folks. This was an officially licensed game of the Indy Racing League, which in the year 2000 was the sanctioning body that ran the Indy 500. Let's go to single race here. Yeah, that's the right button. There we go. And, okay, so, track select. We don't want to go to Texas Motor Speedway. Although you see here they do show you, oh, how much the tracks, how much they bank, and then it gives you a little movie. Got Texas Motor Speedway, got Pikes Peak International Raceway. That's pretty cool. Atlanta Motor Speedway, you'll notice its little logo is very similar to that of Texas Motor Speedway. They're owned by the same company, or at least they were at the time. Not sure if they still all are. Burton Smith's, what is the name of his? International Speedway Corp is the other. It's basically two big companies that own most of the oval tracks. Well, the big oval tracks in the country. There are like literally hundreds of little small ones that are, a mile long or less that, are essentially mom and pop organizations. Orlando International Speedway. Not actually named Orlando International Speedway. It's actually called Walt Disney World Speedway. An interesting place in that it doesn't actually have permanent grandstands. It used to be that whenever you would have a race there, because it's actually set in, like, they had an open space in the parking lot at Disney World, and they went ahead and anytime that they would hold a race, they would put up temporary grandstands around it, like you do at, like, if you've ever seen or heard of a street race or something like that, where they'll, like, close off the city streets and then they'll race cars through, they'll put up, like, grandstands, like that. They would basically do that except around an oval. It reduced construction costs, but it sort of became a logistical nightmare after a while. That's why they don't really hold professional races there anymore. And then there it is. The granddaddy of them all, the Indianapolis 500. Yeah, actually, when I said most of the major circuits in the, or most of the major oval tracks in the country are owned by Bruton Smith, is it Speedway Corp? Maybe? International Speedway Corp, which is owned by, I believe, the France family, who, they're the ones who also own and operate NASCAR. I think it's owned by the Frances. Either way. No, the Indy 500 actually is privately owned by the Holman George family. They've owned it, I think, since the... Yeah, actually, I believe ownership changed hands sometime around the time that the track resumed activities after World War II. But anyways, let's go ahead, let's pick the track. And let's go to driver select. Driver selecto. Buddy Lazier, oh man. Buddy Lazier was... Well, Buddy Lazier, I believe, was the champion this season, the 2000 season, although I believe the driver lineup for this game is based on the 1999 season, which actually means there are some fuzzy recollections of it for me. I didn't really start following IndyCar racing, particularly until 2001, which is when they got a race in Richmond, Virginia, which was close to where I was living at the time. Anyhow, you got Buddy Lazier. He no longer races on a regular basis. I can't remember if he tried to qualify for the Indy 500 this year. He's one of these people that now occasionally just shows up just to attempt to qualify for the Indy 500. It is a bigger payday. It's a more prestigious event, and it has a larger field. They run 33 cars at the Indy 500, where usually they limit it to, somewhere in the 20s, depending on the size of the circuit. So, a bigger field, you have more guys that are just trying just for the one shot at glory. Davey Hamilton, I believe, had some variety of comprehensive accident in, what does that say, spinal conquest? No, but he seriously injured his feet, actually, and he had to have major reconstructive surgery on his feet. He's come back and tried to race occasional just one-offs since then. Sam Schmidt. Actually, this is especially terrible, because Sam Schmidt, at Walt Disney World Speedway, as a matter of fact, before this game came out, but in the 2000 season, because the race at Walt Disney World was in the first week of January. It was super early. It was around the same time as the Super Bowl, which is really weird for an auto race. But no, he had an accident, a severe accident that left him a quadriplegic. He'd shown some promise. He'd been racing, I think, about 2-3 seasons before that, and had one race win. But yeah, he's gone into team ownership now, and actually, ahead of this weekend's Indy 500, his current driver, a Canadian guy by the name of Alex Tagliani, is on pole position. He managed to qualify faster than anybody else, and I say great to him. I actually had the chance to interview Alex Tagliani once, and he was as enthusiastic a dude as you would ever hope to meet in your life. It was pretty interesting. Scott Sharp, interesting thing about Scott Sharp, he does a lot of sports car racing now. A lot of these guys have since either retired or just moved on from racing. Scott Sharp, he still races, but he races in sports cars. I think he races a Ferrari 430 now in the American Le Mans Series. But was actually, the Indy Racing League started in 1996. He was the co-champion that year. They only ran 3 races, one of which being the Indy 500, and they had apparently not written the rule book carefully enough to, and Buzz Calkins was the other co-champion that year. They hadn't written the rule book carefully enough to figure out tiebreakers if the points were the same, because you earn a certain number of points for winning a race, scoring second, so on. Oh, Kenny Brack. He's a member of the Power Team. Oh, no, he used to run for A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt, a legendary name at the Indy Motor Speedway. He won 4 times himself as a driver. But yeah, he's mostly retired. He had a very bad back injury one year and sort of left out from there. Robbie Buhl, he retired from driving a few years back here. I mean, he was a guy that was there from more or less the start of at least the Indy Racing League. Sort of always in it, but never really, up at the top. He's a car owner now, and I believe he does color commentary for the IndyCar broadcasts anymore. At least some of them. Tice Carlson, I'm afraid to say I do not recognize. He was not racing by the time I got to start watching the series. Mark Dinsmore, I know the name, but it's not really ringing a bell for me. That looks like a Kelly Racing car, but don't know. Roberto Guerrero, I actually believe I sort of met one time, although I've never actually seen him race. He was doing some driver coaching at a thing I went to one time. It's kind of cool. Johnny Unser. Hey, it looks like he's sponsored by Thai Bop. I guess it's an officially licensed product of the Indy Racing League, the game, but not all the sponsors are on there. So I do believe that, yes, there actually were cars, I think Ron Hemmelgarn ran one, that were sponsored by Taibo. You remember Taibo, the, exercise, way of life thing where you just, do lots of punches in the air and stuff. So you got Johnny Unser and Robbie Unser. Presumably these are all members of, I know it sounds silly to say, but presumably these are all members of the Unser family. Al Unser and Al Unser Jr., who also big winners at the Speedway. Jeff Ward, I did see him race once or twice, but yeah, another guy that sort of retired not long after. Stéphane Gregoire, never got to see him. Robby Mcgehee, the name is familiar enough that I feel like maybe he was in the first race I ever saw, but the first race I ever saw, I just sort of went there. I was looking at the program, looking down names, trying to find people I could figure out who they were. Jones Hollingsworth Jr., no idea. Scott Goodyear, I guess he was racing with Panther Racing at this point, maybe? I'm just presuming from the number 4 in the Pennzoil. But Scott Goodyear, Canadian driver, he does the color commentary for the Indy 500 now. Or not the Indy 500, but for some IndyCar races. I believe he was a part of one of the closest finishes in Indy 500 history, and I'm trying to remember who he was racing with. Might have been Al Unser Jr., and somebody is probably... It's theoretically possible that someone is going to come back and correct me and say, "No, you're an idiot, what are you talking about?" But yeah, I don't think he actually won the thing, so... Greg Ray, he's from Texas. He did race for a couple of years, into when I started watching IndyCar racing, but yeah, another guy that... I don't think he ever ended up getting a whole lot of wins. Billy Boat, a guy that... had a very distinguished career in the little sort of, they call them sprint cars, but those little sort of the type of cars that have wheels that are sticking out but don't have giant wings or anything like that. I guess you might call them midget racers, things like that. But yeah, very distinguished career in USAC, Silver Crown, and those sorts of cars. And yeah, had a few years in open wheel. Eddie Cheever Jr. Had a long career in Formula One. One of the last, full-blooded Americans to run in Formula One. Certainly the last one to run for more than a season and a half, 2 seasons. Although he did not actually win. I think he had a podium or two. But yeah. So he was a guy that cut his teeth in Europe. He's an American driver, but he cut his teeth in Europe. But I'm going to go with Buddy Lazier. I guess his brother Jacques Lazier, although his brother Jacques Lazier was an IndyCar driver, is apparently not in this game. Now then. Hold on just 1 second. Let me see if I can adjust this volume so I can hear what's going on. Because I can't really hear the game. I don't know whether or not you folks can. But It's a whole lot of ado, I know. And I'm not even going to have... I'm not going to attempt to be Jim Neighbors singing Back Home Again in Indiana. Well, I might for a second. Back home again in Indiana. And it didn't do any, like, releasing of balloons or anything like that. Yeah, I cannot hear this. Go, go, go! Ouch, I just hit a wall. Ouchie, and now I can't get myself reoriented. This is a very sensitive analog stick here. There we go, that's more like it. Wow. So, when you can actually get yourself moving at a somewhat normal pace, all these guys are effectively standing still. That's basically the impression I'm getting here. Alright. I'm moving through the field, in theory. I'm in 17th position. 17th out of 20, I believe. I started in last place, so I got... Oh! He just ran himself into the wall. That's not cool. You will notice, you see that little flash of red as we drove by? They call the Indy 500 the Brickyard, with good reason. Underneath all of this pavement is... Well, actually, I believe they may have pulled them up since, but... Before the first Indy 500, I believe originally it didn't even have brick pavement, but for the early Indy 500s, the racetrack was actually paved in brick, which, you know, whoa. And I believe I have a spotter who's probably yelling encouragement at me right now, and in theory, like, because I played this once before, to practice to see whether or not I could actually play the game. Whoa. Okay, ouch. That was bad. Hey, hey, hey! What was I supposed to do there? Some guy just exploded in front of me. That's part of the bad luck of the Indy Motor Speedway. That's why you don't want to be in the back of the pack. You'll get caught up in somebody's mess. Admittedly, folks, I typically like road course racing better, but the Indy 500 has a certain luster, you know? So one of the big prestigious events out there. Actually, another fun bit while I'm thinking about it of trivia related to this game. The person that actually won the Indy 500 in 2000, Juan Pablo Montoya, who went on to race in Formula 1 and, like, from 2001 on to, I guess it was about 2006 or 7 maybe was his last year before he made the move to NASCAR. But, yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya basically just showed up. He was racing back in these days, there were 2 different rival series which raced in cars that were mechanically different, but to, like, the casual observer looked pretty much the same. Which is one of the reasons that the popularity of Indy cars tended to drop a little bit in this time period, because there was a lot of infighting going on between these 2 rival categories. Man, I'm doing really well this time around, compared to how I did in previous attempts. Hey, number 4, that's Scott Goodyear. Get back here, you Canadian guy. It's just fun to hear him talk about IndyCar racing, because he actually says a boot. It says you hear him there talking about the handling of the car on his radio. Man. Now, I mean, admittedly, clearly the default setting is for crash damage to be turned off, because otherwise this car would have shattered into a million pieces multiple times by now. Oh crud, this is the last lap. Okay, I know I'm not going to be able to win, but can I get back into the top 10? Can I still make a good payday? Come on. Come on. Come on, Toshi. Hey, I'm losing places. Come on. No. Oh. And then he sneaks into... I'm spiraling backwards again. Yes, give me a good draft. I wish to be able to achieve victory here. Crud, I'm off the course. That's clearly not a good thing to do either. Get back on... There you go. Come on, yes! Cars are breaking down at the finish.
Good rake.
That's apparently a new record for me. Woo! And, oh, well, that's good. It's nice to know that when the computer takes over driving my car, he's as incompetent as I am. I presume the N64 computer is a dude for some reason. Let's look at the race results to begin with. Okay, so Scott Sharp finished ahead of me there. Jeff Ward, Scott Goodyear, yeah, Stefan Gribor, Robby Mcgehee. Robby Mcgehee, yeah. Alright, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, folks. Davey Hamilton won it all. I guess let's look at the replay. I've not tried the replay mode. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so clearly from the start there, I was already hitting everything in sight, so that probably wasn't good. Things exploding all over the place, sparks, that sort of thing. Actually, folks, if you enjoy like playing oval racing on your, video game console systems, the controls to this are not that bad. I mean, clearly I didn't do very well, but, maybe it just requires somebody that's not quite as ham-thumbed as I am. Maybe some of you young children for whom, like, N64 is one of the first console or so that you ever had. Me, I grew up in the video gaming era before analog joystick controllers were for anything other than joystick games like flight simulators. So I never really learned to do these subtle analog movements with the thumb there. It's a shame, I know. I'm lacking. But I just gotta live with it, you know? That's all there is. But, yeah, folks, this is, this is lap 2 of 6. This is going fine thus far. Whoa, apparently tackled some dude. Oh yeah, look at me just skating through the pack. See, now I get to appreciate what you guys have already looked at, in, this Let's Play thus far. Yeah, I did a nice move under that guy. Oh, but see... This is the problem with traffic. Okay, this was pretty much the incident where I sort of ruined my race. I'm in 16th POS, but my car's not a POS. It seemed really fast. I mean, they're theoretically all supposed to be the same speed, but, some are more equal than others, as they sometimes say. So, yeah. The Indy Racing League and Championship, or was it Champion Auto Racing Teams? It spelled out CART either way. Those are the two rival series at this time. One of them basically had the Indy 500 and a couple of other oval races surrounding it, and the other one had what had been more traditionally the, open-wheel racing IndyCar style venues of, like, the 80s, in time leading up to the formation of IRL. Races like the Long Beach Grand Prix, the Cleveland Grand Prix, the one at Burke Lakefront Airport, which I always thought was really cool, because, I mean, it's a big airport, setup, where basically, like, you've got the whole runway, so, like, guys are going all over the place. Speaking of going all over the place, what was that a guy doing in front of me? My goodness. Also, watching this, all of a sudden I'm really hungry for Delta faucets and Tybo. Delta faucets. Tybo. But, oh wow, I just apparently pulled a chop block move on that guy. I just dove in front of him before he could try and pass around me. I'm a jerk. I'm a horrible, horrible person. Whoa! I'm a horrible person, and there's my karma. Oh, some nice flat 2D characters hanging around over there. Now, clearly, the actual Indy 500 takes longer than this. I think it takes, like, it's a 500-mile race. It takes, like, maybe 3.5, 4 hours anymore. The first running of the Indy 500, because that's the thing. The track actually opened in 1909. 1911 was the first running of the race as the Indy 500, the 500-mile race. And it took almost 7 hours for the winning car, which was Ray Harroun in the Marmon Wasp. It was a Marmon car that was painted up yellow and black, so it was called the Wasp. Makes sense, right? Anyhow, I'm not Ray Harroun. I'm not even Buddy Lazier. I'm just some guy jabbing at the analog stick with his left thumb. And just doing a terrible job. But hopefully we'll be able to struggle through here and things will turn out okay. But yeah, I actually never even realized, and part of it is because, clearly because I didn't own an N64, I ended up having a PlayStation during this time period, so, I didn't even know this game existed. But apparently, it wasn't really, widely recognized or accepted as a huge successful game or anything like that. But there you go, folks. That is just a little quick taste. I mean, in theory, I could go back and do a championship run or a gold cup in which you start in midgets, sprints, silver car, and formula cars. Which I believe this race, I did a little bit of reading on it. I believe it also has Formula 2000, which is, USF 2000, which I believe have highly tuned four-cylinder Ford engines, if I'm remembering right. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is just a little taste and a little reminder for anybody who might have thought about it but not thought about it. Indy 500 this weekend. If you're at all interested, go ahead, check it out. It might be a bit much to take for the casual observer because it is kind of a long event. And it is an oval race, so if you don't like oval racing, it might be difficult to take. But if you know the players involved and you have an idea of how much is at stake, there really is a lot going on there. But anyhow, this is Bobo the Vulture. This is a little quick one-off Let's Play Indy Racing 2000 for the N64. And I thank you very much for watching it. Bye-bye now.